Controlling pests on macadamia can be achieved through environmentally friendly and sustainable practices. For a number of years in a row, SA-treated poles and timber has won the first prize for the lowest unsound at the Coastal Macadamia factory. Wally Klar explains his somewhat unconventional approach.
3 to 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I can't remember, I came into contact with Bavaria Bassiana and decided to give it a go and use it exclusively in one block, which is a mixture of 816788s, and the results were really good. So that was an eye-opener. Supply was a bit of an issue, so I then stopped using it for a season, 2 seasons. But in the interim, I changed my approach on the chemical side. Is that when we were spraying pyrethroids, instead of just spraying a whole field because we found stinkbug in one corner of the field or halfway in the field, I then just changed the approach to only spray in the area where we actually physically found the stinkbug and forget about the rest of the field. In that manner, cutting back on pyrethroid usage. Then over these last 3 seasons, I've come into contact with other companies that supply Bavaria Bassiana and also meteorisiums, and yeah, I've been very impressed with what we can achieve with these products. If you're not scouting, if you're not spraying at the right times, stay away from the products because you will end up getting a hiding. We have had incidences where we've sprayed Bavaria and a good 3 weeks to a month later, we pick up stinkbug in that area that have died, and you can actually see the growth of the Bavaria. So I do not just spray exclusively Bavaria or the meteorisiums. I tend to alternate with them. Towards the end of this harvest season, we sprayed pretty much exclusively meteorisiums and a bioneem product, and had really good results with that. So I like the meteorisiums for the fact that they are really soft. The Bavaria can still take out a good 20% or so of your beneficials. So that is more of heavy artillery versus your softer approach. I like the fact that some of these meteorisiums are very specific. Like one will be more effective against eggs, the other one will be more effective against stinkbug or other pests. So I really enjoy that fact. We are not 100% biological. We are trying as hard as possible to move to 100%. I still do drenches. This year I've gone with cymotoxin as a drench. Obviously you can't just rely on it, we still have to scout regularly. In an area where if we find that we just constantly 2-3 weeks in a row that we are not suppressing it with biologicals, I will look at going in with a chess. Chess has worked very well for us in this situation. If I really hit a wall, I would look at acetamiprid, like an Alice, but again, very just small hotspots. The difference between biological and chemical, I would say 90% biological, 10% chemical. Might even be higher because we really don't use much chemical anymore, besides the drench, obviously. From a scouting perspective, we break the farm up into 3 areas. So the strategy is we place nets under trees. The tree is marked with danger tape, the date is written on it. The reasoning being I do not want them to scout that tree before 4 weeks have passed, a month has passed. Even when we find stinkbug on that tree next week, because it's a hot spot, we're going to be scouting back in that area. We do not want to spray the tree or scout the tree right next door to it, even across the interrows, because of overspray. We scout with hand lancers, with just a 600 litre tank with hand lancers. We do not use a mist blower. Again, I do not like a mist blower for overspray. I think it's not the right way to go about it. So the nets are placed today. Tomorrow morning, the driver with the scouts will go out, generally speaking, between 3 and 3:30 in the morning. We really want to catch the bugs at night when it's still dark, so early hours of the morning. In summer, we might move it even to 2:30 or so in the morning. Our emphasis on scouting here is that we actually hunt for them. We want to find them. So we just continually move around, and we have areas that will virtually guaranteed every year we will find stinkbug in that area. It's another thing that I always tell my scouts: don't go and scout for the best looking tree. Always look for the average or slightly below average. The bugs, they target those. It's uncanny how they just know which one to target. So 2 seasons ago we started employing live scouts that walk through the orchards looking for mainly nut borer eggs, which we base on our delta traps. So in an orchard where the numbers are rising, that's obviously the orchard where we would concentrate more on. And then whilst they were doing that, they would be bringing me stinkbug, they would be bringing eggs, and I just realized how much these guys can actually find by just walking the rows. So what we have done now is, if the live scouts have picked up stinkbug in an area, we then send the chemical scouts there to place nets in that area, and vice versa. If the chemical guys have picked up stinkbug in an area, we send the live scouts in there to go and look through those rows and see what they can find. And the combination between the two of them, the information that gets fed back to me, has just been a major, major help. The amount of eggs that we found this last season, stinkbug eggs, is just, and that we could then, attack in a spraying program, it was a major, major help. Pretty much here, it's next to the indigenous bush, next to the streams, valley bottoms, areas that are not that affected by wind. I find that the higher up on the slope you come, the less chance of finding them. Even from our nut borer, we had traps in higher lying areas, and the numbers just weren't there. As soon as we moved them into a more sheltered area, the numbers just straight away increased. And it just tells me the insects don't really enjoy the strong wind. They tend to stay out of it. My scouts came to me and showed me that there were a whole lot of stinkbug in the grass. I don't perceive that particular stinkbug to be an issue because it's a grass stinkbug. But the fact that they were in the grass just told me something is right. They're happy there. By removing that, do we then force them into the trees and they do become an issue? So I just made a decision, no more mowing the interos. We stopped. And it became a jungle. It becomes a bit of a challenge towards Christmas and early January. It was a difficult buy-in from the staff because they're now so focused on we need to clean things up, and now we're not cleaning up anymore. And what was really interesting is we started cleaning up straight away after New Year, because I could also see the harvest was going to be an early harvest. And as we started cleaning up the orchards, the stinkbug numbers increased. And I'm talking now 2 spots. There's definitely an interaction between leaving the natural vegetation to do its thing in the intero and keeping the bugs happy. Just over these last 2 seasons, what's come back into the orchards, the amount of lacewings and the bees too. I find the bees, we have a lot of blackjacks or these little purple flowers, whatever flowering, the bees are there. So besides all the insects and the bees, another thing that has really improved massively is the bird life. I cannot believe the amount of birds that have come back. We vary from drongos, bush shrikes, fruit eaters, seed eaters, they are in the orchards. It's because of not mowing and because we're using biologicals. We are not wiping out what's in the tree. Another interesting fact this year was that we've had another species of sunbird actually come here, which I've never seen. It's not rare in Natal, but it's just never been on the farm here. And this flowering season, we had sunbirds basically throughout the whole orchard. They are actually pollinating as well. They are on the flowers. I've even picked up sunbird nests now in the orchards. And the same with the bush shrikes. They're not necessarily overnighting in the bush anymore. They are now overnighting in the orchard. You can hear them as it's getting dark. They're calling from the middle of the orchard. So it just tells me they are happy there. And the same thing with any of those type of birds. If they find a stink bug or something in the tree, they're going to eat it. We only spray at night, and obviously the concern is that is your driver performing at night time, you sleeping, he's working, are things happening the way they should be happening? So we've gone on to satellite tracking for a while now with our tractors, and it's been an eye-opener and a real benefit, especially on the scouting, because now I'm able to actually physically track where they are going. I can see which trees are being scouted. I can mark and store the exact tree where we found the stinkbug. There's a lot of information that you can get out of it, like when is the PTO engaged. You can even hook it up to, it will tell you when your spray comes on and things like that. So yeah, it's quite involved. But definitely worth it. It's something I'd encourage other farmers to look at. Yeah, pruning is something that we do every year. It's very important in my opinion. We pretty much at this stage just been knocking in biggish windows into our trees. We only have 200 trees per hectare, so 10 by 5. So our trees are in volume. We have a big tree, so we need those windows to get the penetration from our sprayers. It's very important. Spray coverage is measured obviously beginning of the season when we start spraying, and then depending on how things are going, if especially when pest pressure is higher, and just to confirm, go and check. I'd say roughly every 2 months or so we're checking. Spray penetration with just very basically a bamboo stick or whatever stick we can get tall enough, and we put water sensitive tape around it. I've also on occasions will hang in the tree little blocks with water sensitive paper. We do everything manually on this farm. I have virtually, besides mist blowers, I have no equipment. I just find that we have a responsibility towards employ people.
The one everybody's waiting for. First prize for Best Unsound kernel at 1.01%. And not on the small crop either. It was on about 200 tons worth of nuts. And the prize winner is Wally Klar.